Hello and welcome all prospective listeners to Redeye Airwaves. I am your main host, Vex Toska, and with me are two other co-hosts.
Kairos, and I just want to take an opportunity real quick to complain that I had to read the entire first chapter yesterday because I got roped into this.
I'm Yossarian, I make terrible puns, and I'm sorry in advance.
And as Kairos learned from the book that we will be reading and reviewing, Murky Number 7, a fanfiction book set in the My Little Pony Fallout Equestria universe, slavery is non-negotiable.
I mean, it usually isn't, but...
Well, it depends to whom.
I think that would be more like servitude.
Every week or so, we'll be reading a chapter of Murky Number 7, reviewing it, and just giving our general thoughts. So if that sounds interesting and you don't get too tired of the podcast right away, feel free to stay and check it out.
Always so negative.
It's not negative, it's caution.
This is only take number 3.
Hey, we'll get there.
Got 4 more to go.
You know who else is going to get there is Murky Number 7 himself.
I don't think he's going to get very far.
He hasn't really even gotten far at all.
I mean, he made personal developments within the first chapter.
So to kind of start this off, the very beginning of the chapter, we're first introduced to Murky and his very sad, terribly depressive lifestyle.
It was nowhere near that bad. I mean, it was sad and jarring, but, like, wasn't the worst thing that could happen.
It's pretty bad.
I mean, I'm definitely not saying it's something that you or anyone else would want, but I can imagine worse.
I kind of like that it's a polar opposite to Little Pip's start. This book is kind of like the New Vegas edition, where instead of starting a nice clean vault, everything's shitty, and you're in a shitty part of the world.
Yeah.
But Good Springs isn't shitty, it's good. It's part of the name.
Oh. I'm sorry, I didn't get the Fallout Vegas reference because I haven't played it.
Doesn't Good Springs have, 4-foot-tall geckos playing around their water supply?
Well, yes, but that's beside the point.
So, this podcast will probably be a little uncoordinated. I figure at this point we'll probably just bring up random things that we liked and try to have some form of coherence as we go through the chapter from start to finish. In the very beginning, we learn a little bit about Murky, the fact that he's named Number 7 because there's a rumor that he is the 7th offspring in a line of offspring, and due to that, or due to just how he was born in general, the low conditions, not being fed often, he's been left terribly weak and broken.
Now that you mention it, I wonder if his mother is also 7th offspring. So, he's the 7th son of a 7th daughter.
Not sure if that's quite how that works. Also, not a unicorn.
Gives him magical powers.
Both magic powers, they have that. So,
this is what I find a little bit interesting about Murky. I presume raiders are born and they have, a meat cleaver as a cutie mark. But imagine being born and your cutie mark is literally, hey, you're garbage.
I don't think that's what the cutie mark means. We don't know the story yet, but
I mean,
since the shackles are open,
that was the big one. A set of open shackles.
What
his perspective on them is that they're going to, close down around him, but it might be him that's breaking them open.
So you're saying he's into heavy bondage?
That was a little bit of a stretch, but
Not that he can stretch far in those shackles.
I'm gonna just decline further comment at this time.
Yeah, but kind of makes me wonder, do the shackles, because cutie marks are kind of like a nebulous concept in general, are the shackles because he was born into slavery, that he is just destined to be a slave, or that... Because I'm wondering if it's not like a lineage thing, that if your situation in life doesn't add to it a little bit.
Well, it's usually like related to your ability or talent.
Which you discover as part of your lifestyle.
Did it say when he discovered it?
It said when, but not the
It did give like a general time frame.
I'll quote it, hold on.
Or maybe an event.
Let's see.
I have to dig through now.
Here we go. If any more proof is needed, all I need to do is look at my flank to see the contact that seals the deal. For my cutie mark bears a looped set of chained manacles, their middle bands open and ready to slam shut about my legs below them, should I ever fall out of line. Attained the day in which I was controlled more than any other. It is a continual reminder of my subservience to any master. That's as much context as we have to that day, the event, and I'm interested to see exactly how it came to be.
Do you have the PDF version of the book pulled up?
No, I opened it in fiction.
So that's interesting, because I'm looking at my print copy. For listeners, by the way, Yoss, do you own a print copy?
Not of Murky Number 7. I do own the Fallout Equestria, though.
Me and Kairos are going to be reading through the print copy version, and the print copy apparently was edited pretty heavily for release. The last line for me is, "It appeared the day on which I felt utterly hopeless, serving as a continual reminder of my enslavement."
Interesting. Maybe I should switch. So we will all be on the same page.
I mean, what's the page number for that?
I think they released a print version of the PDF. Should be able to hopefully get that to you. So, the manacles. What is your all perspective on that?
It's a typical instrument for subduing someone, I guess.
Well, it's kind of already had a perspective on the story itself with his slavery and his mental anguish over resisting or not resisting. Are we going to ever see the point where kind of like gets over that, or is he always going to be cowed by this reminder?
Well, I mean, he kind of started to get over it. I don't know. You could argue that he was just. Well, how far ahead do we want to skip?
We can we can feel free to bounce around just as we go through events in order.
We're not going through them in order if we're bouncing around.
I mean, bouncing around within each topic. So if we want to pull on a topic, we can use anything from the chapter, but at least as long as the topics themselves are in linear order.
Okay. Well, you could argue that he was just serving another master, but he did go along with the number 6, I guess, when they were running around during the riot, because they never gave a name for him.
Not yet, I guess.
Interesting point on that. Now, was that him breaking free, or was that him just immediately obeying the nearest buff person?
Yeah, that's
definitely that one.
Because, like, he was talking about how he was doing it, and it was against the will of, Redeye and the slavers, but he was still doing it anyway, even though he knew he was resisting them. But on the other hand, he was just serving the strongest thing in the room.
He was
or
taking
at least
command.
going along with it.
He was taking command from the only thing that gave him any sort of command, any sort of authority figure, right away, right immediately in his vicinity. It's basically he doesn't serve masters. He basically serves whoever tells him in a very stern voice to do as he's told.
Yeah. It might be what he fears the most, because he was terrified of the of number 6, because number 6 was this huge, hulking, tattooed, crazy-eyed
Beast.
yeah, fight contestant for the pit.
Now, the thing that I like most about Fallout Equestria is kind of like, since I've played through it, or not Fallout Equestria, Fallout 3, since I've played through it, a lot of Fallout Equestria draws upon that, so you can see a lot of the parallels between the game, and knowing the game's lore kind of gives you insight into things. I'm wondering who the backstory of the red guy is, because it said he has tribal tattoos, didn't it?
Yeah.
Isn't that typically like a zebra thing?
I thought zebras just had stripes.
They did, but like since it used tribal as a descriptor word, I wonder if they're not indicative of what of where he came from. I'm wondering if there's like a tribe of his that had possibly been raided and enslaved.
Yeah, I was wondering that myself. See, if this guy is so big and strong and quick, how did he get enslaved?
I mean, bullets beat fists.
If he's the only one there, he might be the last member of his tribe.
That'd be
All of
sad.
these are possible.
Alright, so we next get to, I'm pretty sure, the introduction of the mayor that he bumps into. After they...
Well, he goes... I thought he went to work first.
Oh yeah. I like that little conversation he had with Wicked Split.
Which is, I don't know. I think it was as well done as you can do a terrible name. Because, like, he went ahead and got the jokes out of the way right at the start.
The Raiders aren't known for their prestigious names.
No, they're not. But
Did it say if she chose that name, or if it was, like, given to her by her buddies?
it did not.
Does mention it.
I feel like if somebody gave her that name, she probably would have killed them.
So...
But
Go ahead.
well, I would just want to say that most names are, like circular in nature, as in, was the pony influenced by the name, or was the name influenced by the pony?
And
It usually just is, rather than given a reason.
and her signature weapon was the sickle.
With the wicked blade edge. But I did like her her explanation of how he harmed Redeye's operation towards
Yeah.
Unity.
The full setback.
Yeah,
I thought Unity was were the alicorns.
it is, but
Okay.
it's a general name for everything Redeye's trying to do.
It's also a callback to the, I think it was either Fallout 1 or Fallout 2, with this, the crazy cult, literally called the Unity.
I should play those games.
We all should. So,
Next time on Redeye Airwaves, the gang is playing Fallout 1.
that'd be something fun to stream.
Yeah.
So, then we get to, This was like next in the order of events. He's been sentenced to fight in the pit.
Now, did it mention why he was sentenced to fight in the pit?
Did he fight on the way? I believe that was it. Let's see if I can find it.
Because I'm not able to remember that.
Yep, it looks like he ran away, then they found him, and that's his punishment.
Okay, he had a breakdown.
Yeah.
And he took off.
Didn't want to work.
I don't blame him. Work isn't fun.
Their work was like lifting scrap all day too, wasn't it?
I believe his work was to pull the scrap cart between where they were pulling scrap from and where they were making munitions.
And they picked the smallest, weakest pony to do that.
They're not known for their intelligence and great human resource management.
Or empathy.
Admittedly, it probably would have been a less strenuous job because it's just pulling, and then you get to pull the empty cart back. Potentially. I don't know if you just moved carts around in general, taking full carts wherever they needed to go, or if he was also moving the empty carts back, but...
So he has a place to sleep, he has enough food to survive, and he has a job. Is Murky just a whiner?
What more do you need?
I'm going to say that his living conditions are a little bit worse than squalid, so...
He has a small house. He has some time off to embark on hobbies.
Neighbors? Yeah.
They always constantly ask for his, how is he?
Oh yeah, they love talking to him.
Oh, yeah, I saw a garbage can overturned the other day. I'm like, wow, that'd make a perfect house for a slave. You know what would be funny is if they're not paid, are they? I'm pretty sure they're not paid.
Oh no.
They're fed and clothed, possibly.
It would be funny if like we would pay you, but that payment is going towards your rent.
Isn't that what happened like a very long time ago? Well, not that long ago. In the United States with coal mines, they basically paid them with vouchers.
Yeah, to the company store.
I also to the company store.
Yeah, that's the song. Good song.
So, he runs away from work and is chosen for the prestigious honor of fighting and dying in the pit.
Which I don't even know how that makes sense because it's not really going to send much of a message. And it's not going to be an entertaining fight to watch. They're just going to watch some scrawny kid get ripped apart.
Well, that's the point. They're going to watch a scrawny kid get ripped apart, and they don't want that to happen to them.
I think it's admittedly more of a like entertainment system for the raiders.
Yeah.
They just want to watch people die.
Who doesn't?
Now, the question is because everybody that was chosen for the pit had more or less, like, fucked up in some way? I wonder how the tribal guy got in there, and I'm
pretty sure he just beat someone to death.
Murder.
Well, the pit isn't just for punishment, it's also to earn your freedom.
Oh yeah, it's voluntary.
Why was... Did Pit volunteer?
Yeah, I believe. Maybe.
No, I think she got thrown in there for something.
Let's check.
I feel like that's going to be a lot of digging.
No.
Did you find it?
Soon.
It doesn't matter particularly too much. That would be 100% accurate.
Yeah, she did not volunteer. She was basically found out and thrown in the pit.
Found out as being like from the outside?
Yeah.
Gotcha. She snuck into Philadelphia.
In a fit of absolute brilliance.
The best plan.
Hey, it worked out more or less. Because, without her involvement, our friend Murky would be deader than dead. As they're prepping to go into the arena, Little Pip does her thing and breaks free with superior kinetic power out of the pit, making all hell break loose.
As well as the slaves.
Yeah, it's starting a riot, which is Murky and Six's chance to escape.
So, and then we have a, I kind of laughed at it. It was like a mother cat kitten situation where number 6 just comes over and is like, come on, let's go.
Yeah, basically dragging Murky around the entire time.
Oh, I think we skipped the mail. No?
The mail?
Actually, yeah, that would have skipped the mayor.
Oh yeah, he, meets the mayor that day that he quits, doesn't he?
He doesn't quit. It's when he gets off, he gets caught in the doors as they're going to leave. Not in the doors, but in the gate around the foundry, and he gets trampled, and she kind of pulls him out, and then they have their little talking scene, and his journal falls out with all of his drawings, and she leafs through it.
So the one thing that Murky actually is good at, besides being a punching bag, is art.
Well, I don't think the Wasteland ponies ever saw art. You know?
No, Raiders were known for their art.
That's a
Cats
different
hanging
kind.
from the ceiling of a boutique.
Some art on the walls, some art on the ceiling, some art over there.
Some art on the art. I mean, they love to draw on the posters and pictures and write all kinds of interesting phrases.
I am an artist. My pencil is a knife, and my canvas is this pony that I found.
Well, maybe the slaves didn't see that. And up until, they become it.
So
who knows how good at art he actually is?
I have to assume it's kind of pulling a Fallout Equestria where the characters introduced very early on are going to be companions. So we have the mayor. I think her key marks is like 3 orbs, isn't it? 3 memory orbs?
I don't think that's been discussed.
No mention of memory orbs yet.
Okay. That's a little spoiler knowledge, since I've seen artwork of Murky. And then we have the tribal guy.
But we skipped one of my favorite parts.
Which is...
when he goes back and starts drawing for himself.
Oh, yeah. Because, I mean, that's just a... Like, that was the first statement to how broken that he was that, actually made him seem broken.
Yeah.
Was that he had never thought about what he had drawn. He had just kind of impulse doodled.
His day. Whatever happened to him. Which is pretty sad because he couldn't imagine anything else. And he still draws from memory. He drew himself, he drew the male, and lastly, as my
most notably, he drew his mother.
Yeah. That really was a heart-wrenching moment.
I don't know if I would go that far per se, but the
when they dragged him out, I mean,
the fact that they were dragging him away as he was staring into or at least the drawing of his mother watching him be dragged away happening the same way that he was originally taken and dragged away from her.
Yeah. That was a powerful moment. And I would say one of my favorites, if not the favorite in this chapter. So the tribal guy.
Yep, big red hulking behemoth.
This little pit blows up the pit, and the two of them abscond to...
Well, they're still running around inside the hockey ring for quite a while.
And we learn that Trouble Guy has no reservations about murder.
Well, I mean, odds are he was captured from somewhere, and it's equally possible that he was a raider in his own right.
Also, most likely he volunteered to find the pit, so he was already mentally prepared.
You gotta love
And
the... Go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to say he probably doesn't really care for any of the guards there, or anybody working for Redeye.
You gotta love his method of intimidation of slamming the person's face into the monitor. I think he broke one of his legs too. Hold up.
Not at the joint.
And then at the very end, when they gives a password, just outright snaps his neck. It's like, whoa, okay, this is gonna be a little bit more brutal right off the bat.
Yep.
So we kind of get through that. They manage to get outside, and we come to probably the defining moment of the chapter, which is whether or not to keep running away with number 6. And Murky chooses to stay. You think?
Well,
I wouldn't say he chose to stay. He doesn't choose anything.
the PA system came on, and Redeye was telling everybody to stand down on both sides. He was telling all the slaves and to go home, and all of the slavers to let them go home. And so he just buckled under orders from what he perceives to be his omnipotent master.
Don't worry, you will be forgiven for rebelling. Don't rebel anymore.
Stay calm. Pick up the can. I would honestly have would been sorry. While reading it, I was a little disgusted. You know, like how could he stay when a single ray of light is shining through, sort of. But now that I think of it, it wouldn't be,
Unthinkable for him to give in.
Yeah, exactly.
When he's been conditioned for it his entire life.
Exactly. It's I think that he couldn't actually ever leave right away. Otherwise, it would have nullified his entire existence up until this point.
If I recall correctly, too, it mentions that he's tried before to resist at least a little bit, and was severely, beaten for it. So at this point, he's just all out of resistance. It does make it interesting, though, not to, skip ahead to the end, but the fact that he decided not to leave, we're kind of still within Philadelphia, and there's now only a limited set of things that he can still do. Given that he's still a slave, and the slavers they more or less restore at least a little bit of order.
There was mention of a large spherical thing erupting from the funhouse barn. I do not remember that in the original story.
Isn't it the pinky balloons?
No, I think they're already in the air.
Yeah, those were already, or should have already been airborne because they were aerial lookouts. It talks about the barn exploding and something coming out onto the roof.
possibly the dragon, though that only comes very late in the original story.
Wait. Was there a dragon in Philadelphia?
Well, I'm not sure. I remember the final battle with Redeye. Was it in Philly?
I don't think it was. I thought the final battle with him was at his hideout,
Right.
which I think was
My
in
bad.
Everfree.
Yeah, my bad. But maybe the dragon was stashed there. That could have been it.
Well, I mean,
Possibly.
I was just wondering if either of you knew off the top of your head, because, like,
I could
that part...
have sworn that she had messed with the balloons a little bit while she was in Philadelphia.
Oh, she did. She destroyed a ton of them.
But they were in the air, as far as I remember.
Yeah, and that... They wouldn't come rising up out of the exploded barn if the barn blew up.
It might
At
be
least-
that, like, they had them stored because they didn't actively need all of them, and then they're raising them because Little Pip is actively doing Little Pip things in the background.
But the
But
barn
why would-
exploded, and there was something
Yeah.
crawling on the roof, a large spherical thing on the roof.
And there's no reason to explode the barn if you wanna raise more Tinky balloons.
I mean, I'm just, like, I don't know what that was. I'm confused as to whether or not that was in the original story. I'm not trying to derail everything, but
I think
I might have.
if we don't know now, we might know later. And that's something I can certainly check on in between this episode and the next one. So he was that event. He's being chased by the three kind of bullies. I think it said like they tormented him before, so he knew them. It had run-ins with them before.
Yeah, they were his lovely neighbors.
And this time, in all the chaos, they are looking for blood.
Well, because the other two from the one area, they're from the same area, but it was Blood and Daffodil, right?
No, Daffodil died in the pit.
I know, that's the reason why those three are out for blood. Is because the power vacuum left.
I thought they just wanted to kill someone.
Yeah, they do, to make a statement as to how dangerous and powerful they are, as the people who were more dangerous and more powerful are now dead.
And the person who is the most dangerous and most powerful in the slaver village is Murky. He must be eliminated to assert their authority.
Yeah, he would definitely make a powerful statement. They were able to kill Murky.
They beat an old man who had no limbs to
They
death.
killed the scrawniest child
That's
in
the
the
best way
entire
to-
slave pit.
That's how you make friends in the playground. Sorry, in the fun farm.
I don't think there's not a whole lot of fun on this farm.
That was always a weird name. Fun Farm.
Gotta love Pinky's names. So, they don't manage to kill him because at that moment the big old bird decides to show up.
Well, they chased him down into a ravine and knocked some stuff around and broke some stuff. And then, giant bird.
Big old birdie boo.
Cockle-doodle-dood over them.
I do like the fact that there are, I feel like in other fictions that I've read, the characters are usually set up with an advantage at the beginning. Sometimes it's taken away, but they always kind of have like something to lean back on. Murky has nothing. And he had one thing, and that was his drawings, and now he doesn't even have that.
Yeah, his journal was more or less destroyed, but mostly just left there. I'm surprised that it didn't come up with his three resident tormentors, that they had perhaps found it and would heckle him or harass him based on it. But
You draw, dumb draw boy.
I don't think it's a. I mean, just because the journal is lost doesn't mean he can't still create art, can't draw. And besides, by losing the journal and everything that he went through in life, he can now start a new journal where he's trying to figure out how to escape, how to live a completely new life, and where he chooses to do stuff.
How much you want to bet? How much you want to bet he gets back to his hut and they burnt it while they were gone?
Didn't they remove it already?
They dealt a lot of damage to it, enough to destroy most of what it was, because he was living in the pig pen.
Oh no, I'm in his journal, the one that he had to drop behind. What if he gets back and they're just like in a group peeing on it or something?
He'd break down and cry, like, everything he's
Oh yeah, have we addressed the fact that he cries perpetually and constantly?
Get in the robot, Shinji.
I've, like, kind of started to tune it out at this point, which is chapter 1. But, every fourth or fifth line is that he has broken down and is openly weeping.
Well, I find that incredibly relatable. It's my favorite pastime.
Don't worry, in the original version it said openly crying, and then it had at least 30 ellipses surrounding it, so that you knew he was crying.
I really didn't want to get into, like, grammar nitpicking, because that's way too easy to do with fan fictions, and
oh yeah, I think
this has definitely had a lot of effort and love put into it.
Yeah, you could tell.
My opinion on Fallout Equestria personally has always been that it was poorly written. Like,
honestly, I didn't think Fallout Equestria was that bad as far as the syntax and grammar.
The first third was terrible.
Just personal perspective, but the characters and the story were what just absolutely made it in the end.
And the world building.
You don't have to be a masterful writer to
tell an amazing story.
Yeah.
You do need to be a good storyteller, though.
So maybe Murky will probably soon come into his own, or his tear ducts will be vaporized in some horrific accident that he cries about, but then finds he can't cry. We have 2,600 more pages of either crying or him slowly not crying.
I think that accident will make him cry even harder.
What they should have done is, in the print version of every time he cried, they spilled water on the page and let it dry.
Just stick crying emojis everywhere.
Just slowly dip the entire book into a bathtub, and then that'll work.
Something that I had been expecting was for Six to betray him at some point, use him as a pawn or a getaway, a diversion or something.
That was the interesting thing. Just, like, despite how morally disattached Six seemed to be in regards to the Raiders, which probably adds to, like, the idea that maybe they killed, or he really just has a grudge against them. The one dude was begging for his life, and he was like, nope, next snap. But he seems to be, like, almost immediately really caring about Murky, even waiting for Murky to cross the war-torn field.
He
waited on Murky multiple times. Yes.
No.
Yep. He stopped and looked back at Murky, and then Murky had that moment where he was trying to figure out whether or not to go, and then the dude sees Murky leave, and then he was like, alright.
I distinctly remember that he said he just shouted but kept on moving.
Yeah, and then Murky saw him looking back down the alleyway at the very end after he had already kind of given in.
It was probably like a curious look back, like, I wonder if he's actually gonna do it.
But still, like, he stopped at the end of the in the alleyway to look back.
Yeah. Well, I don't think he wanted to use Murky as a pawn.
I mean, I was expecting it. I was expecting him to be just more crippled and depressed.
They're escaping through the tunnels. A raider pops out at the end with a submachine gun, and he quickly just picks up Murky and uses him as a Meat shield.
But there isn't enough meat for it to shield.
Yeah, you kind of like it would be a scarf. It would be a protective scarf. They describe 6'2" as like this hulking mass of muscle. Is that a pony or is that a horse?
Yes.
Well, I mean, there's your answer.
We finally come to the end of the chapter. As is the style with all Fallout stories, we have a pit boy comes in and it's broken as all fuck.
But the radio works.
The radio does work when it's not playing static white noise.
It's the best feature.
Well, that's because it
only
was on the
feature.
wrong channel. Remember how the chapter ended?
I did get a bit of a frisson at that moment. Like, I got goosebumps. Because I like the moments where, like I said, playing through Fallout 3, I knew all the things of Fallout Equestria, so I was really happy to know that and be, like, teased with it. And then they bring that back in here with DJ Pwn 3. Now, I wonder, is that word for word taken from the story?
I don't know.
I don't think so. I think they... Well,
I feel like it was slightly tweaked, at least.
I think they wrote it themselves, and they managed to write it in exactly the style of DJ Pwn 3 / Free Dog. And I even read it in Free Dog's voice. It was fun.
I mean, I can understand there being a little bit of an issue with taking it word for word, considering that both of them are, you know, semi-published books that are sold for, quote, money.
Whoa.
In fact, just put all of that in quotes.
It probably would have been fine if, like...
I don't think there would have been any litigation about it, but I can definitely understand how you just take the necessary amount of caution, and kind of like a courtesy.
So that kind of gives a lead into what might happen next. Now that Murky has something to hope for, like he throughout the chapter he keeps like thinking about Little Pip, the mayor, as he says, and then now he has a direct line into what she's doing.
Yeah, this is to make up for the journal that's never coming back, because now he has a radio.
It's interesting. This happens before Albu, right?
Ooh, now you're asking lore questions. My Fallout Equestria lore is
I believe so.
Interesting. So I wonder how he will feel when his heroine, destroys that town.
Oh yeah, he might just like listen to the radio and draw things that he hears from it, and then he hears that and his world is shattered.
Yeah.
For the 50th time.
50,000th time. More like.
I don't know. I feel like her actions in that town were a little bit over dramatized by everyone else.
That's the way with news. Can't just kill a few ponies and
Be done with it.
Well, I mean, the other half, well, not the other half of the town, but the, I believe they were traders or something that she encountered just outside of the town, that the town sent her to kill. They were people that had been in the town that had been, or had some of their members eaten by the residents of the town that were coming back to wipe out the town. So, even if she hadn't done it,
somebody
if she hadn't interfered at all, yeah, somebody else would have killed them because they were cannibals that were actively preying on travelers. And it wasn't just the adults, it was the women and the children. Like...
Little Pip is Luke's...
I mean, if you go into a village and you wipe out the children of the corn, have you really done a terrible thing? Yes, you killed a bunch of children, but you killed a bunch of cult children that were slaughtering each other when they turned, X years old. I guess there's a moral dilemma there, because on one hand you're killing children, on the other hand the children are killing children, so you're stopping the children from killing children, but...
You know, to reduce the number of murderers in the world, you gotta kill 2.
Does that mean, that Blackjack from Project Horizons is the Darth Vader?
I
Fallout
don't know
Equestria?
anything about Project Horizons.
Oh, don't worry, that's next on the list.
Oh,
I
no.
don't think I can read all of that.
Oh, it's only 2.5 million words. Actually, no. Is it 2.5? I'm pretty sure it's like 2.5.
Between 2 and the 2.5. I'd rather not. I read like half of it and then stopped. I don't think I can go through chapter 33 again.
1.7 million. Murky
Oh,
Number
my bad.
7.
1 million, no, give or take, right?
Do you have the fanfic pulled up?
Yep, it's 1 million and it's 1 million.
That's pretty impressive, considering that me and Yoss are big fans of the Stormlight Archive, and each of those books are like 400k.
Those are very good books.
They are wonderful.
Highly recommended. Go read them.
I don't know what they are.
Good books. That's all you need to know.
Okay.
So I'm glad they're doing the thing that all Fallout Equestria stories do, as they should. Perks at the end of each chapter. But instead of like any meaningful perk, our friend Murky just does special training into luck of all skills.
Well, I think he could use it.
Yeah. Like it went from 1 to 2 now. I
Like-
guess.
-1 to 0.
-4 to -3, if we're going to be honest. But it's the old saying, luck beats skill every time, because
Hey now,
it's luck.
instead of the slavers breaking both of his legs, they'll only break one of them. He's very
Yeah.
lucky.
They'll break one and sprain the other one, thinking they've broken it.
You're lucky, very lucky to be alive.
How could you ever ask for anything more?
So now we've gone to the first chapter kind of a little bit. What are... Let's be kind of like the summary. What are both of y'all's overall feelings about that chapter? Do you think this is a good start? Or you're just to see where it goes, and where do you think it's going to go?
Well, we have Little Pip tied into the timeline, so her entire story takes, what, a month at
I
most?
I believe 2?
It's a pretty short
Yeah,
time
I mean-
frame.
Yeah, it's a very short amount of time for her to do everything that she does. So, I feel like he's just going to suffer in Philadelphia a lot.
The next 90% of the
Boy.
book is only Philadelphia. And then Little Pip comes in and kills everyone? She liberates them at some point, doesn't she? If I recall correctly? Or they're moved. They don't stay in Philadelphia forever.
Yeah, at some point, I believe Redeye moves them to his Everfree operation because he needs the additional manpower for his project, and then he needs, like, just bodies. That would be interesting if Murky ends up in the
Final conflict?
yeah, in the, what was it? He had cages, I'm looking for a specific word. Cages that were suspended above the,
The Taint?
yeah, when he was going to make his alicorn, not alicorn, but like hive mind abomination. He had cages of earth ponies, pegasi, and or maybe it was a lot of unicorns. I thought he had earth ponies too. He was trying to balance it out was his thing.
So it's been like years since I read Fallout Equestria. Did it have to do with his deal with Unity?
Oh no, he broke that hard. Like the whole point of his operations there was to break his deal with Unity. Because he was trying to make his own hive mind with him as one of the heads. Because Unity only listens to Trixie. Like, she is the...
Trixie
I wanna
is
say-
Unity.
Yeah, she has the personality that...
The will.
Yeah, the will that controls the abomination. Now, she's, like, completely insane because of it, but she's still the one in charge. Redeye wanted to make another one that was more powerful, that used all three of the races instead of just unicorns, and that was controlled by himself, Little Pip, and the one Pegasi commander, and that's why he lured them all in there, so that way they could all fall in together.
If your friends jumped off a bridge into a vat of FEV, would you jump too?
Well, I mean, if it's I don't know,
Well,
is it
he's-
okay to spoil the last punch at the end?
Well, if it hasn't been assumed now, since we've already spoiled the fuck out of it, we have to assume
Okay.
people have read Fallout Equestria. If you haven't read Fallout Equestria, what are you doing listening to this? Go read Fallout Equestria. This is not for you.
Yeah, well, we can fix that in post, right? Put that at the front before everything else. Just a semi-angry lecture.
I read this book review, and it spoiled an entirely different book series that this book is based on. I am angry.
2 stars.
So if you all had to give, I think it would be kind of interesting to take a tally count, but an out of 10 rating for this chapter, what would you rate it at?
It
I'm
was...
bad. I'm bad at rating stuff. I just either I like it or I don't like it, or I like it a lot. And I like this. It's very good. It, at least what I read, my version, was well written. It had some very impactful moments, and I'm curious to see how well Murky does in the future.
For you, Kairos?
So there was a little bit of grammar and syntax error, which is, something that you would expect. And it was really, really dry for most of this first chapter.
You did
You
did have to speed read it.
Yeah. The read was, not difficult, but I would probably say that chapter 1 is a rocky 4 out of 10. But it's definitely worth it if this is kind of in your vein of things and you're interested in the subject matter. I do like the fact that we have a broken down, beaten main character who is not in this for, there's no fault of his own on this. It's not stupid decisions that he made. It's not poor choices. His circumstances out of his control. So the whole thing feels more like a journal, kind of like a will and testament, as opposed to, because I was expecting it to be really whiny, and it was not, and I'm very, very happy about that.
Why did you expect it to be whiny?
Just because it was the sad story of a sad guy with a miserable life, and
Oh, the reputation of Murky?
The reputation of Murky made me think that this was going to be a really, whiny, try to make you feel bad kind of thing, and it was not. So I'm very, very happy about that.
Okay, so we got a 4 out of 10. Yoss, would you put down as an 8?
It would be a good out of 10. It would be a like out of dislike.
It's a good out of 10.
A good out of 10.
What do you think?
I can't do math with that, but I'll put you down as an 8. I'd probably give it a 6. I think it's a good start. It's got me interested in what's going to happen next, and it sets up the characters well. I think Shinji-type characters definitely wear on me, so I'm really looking forward to hopefully him coming into his own, at least as best as he can.
I guess we'll wait and see.
Alright, any final comments, anything that we didn't talk about that any of y'all would like to talk about?
You're a cutie.
No, you.
I'm trying to go through the mental checklist, but I think we've covered every significant detail Unless the fact that he lived on a rock farm gets constantly brought up. Because we have not covered that, but it happened, and that was his first master, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think, including that, that's everything.
All right. Well,
Cool.
that'll conclude this podcast at 55 minutes of recording. Thank you all for listening, and we hope you tune in next time. This has been Redeye Airwaves with your host Toska, Kairos, and Yoss.
See, you can introduce everyone. It's not that hard.
This is goodbyes. This is easier. Anyways, till next time.
So long.